Fly ball to right field. Number 60. A catcher.
2 weeks to the day until opening day. It's going to be in Seattle versus the Guardians. We're going to preview the AL West today with Chad. Thanks for hopping on, Chad, and talking through this. It's going to be a different year. I mean, it was a different year last year for the AL West. The Mariners won the AL West for the first time in 24 years. And we might see some more changing of the guards this next year, not for the Mariners, but for other ranks, I would say, throughout the division. So I guess any thoughts or input before we get into it?
Well, I mean, it's just been a long wait, Connor. I don't know what the exact count is, but I tell you what, it feels like it's been more than a year. And I think baseball fans really need to appreciate it. I want to say it right, like really quick too, because after this season, you don't know what's going to happen with the lockout. So, and this Mariners, we're right at that point too, where it's like we're hitting that peak. So, really want to soak it in as Mariners fans, and I'm pumped to enjoy it with you this year, Connor. And yeah, man, let's dive into the AL West.
Yeah, let's do it. So starting off, this is the official how the AL West panned out last year. The Mariners, as I mentioned, won the AL West for the first time in 24 years this last year with the record of 90-72, which is lower than it's taken, in past years. The Houston Astros were in second place, 87-75. The Rangers, 81-81. Athletics were fourth last year, 76-86. The Angels, of course, coming in last place, 72-90. Just a couple interesting notes here that I took away. You look at the Angels, believe it or not, but they actually had around 10 runs scored less than the Astros and the Rangers. Like, they were surprisingly close to the second and third place team in the AL West offensively, but it's the runs allowed to where they were just bottom of the barrel. They had 837 runs allowed. The top of the division was 694, 665. And then the Rangers were the best at preventing runs last year at 605 runs allowed. The Athletics and the Angels, they, have decent offenses, but it's really their pitching staff. And we'll get into the depth there, but just an interesting note. It's not, the Athletics and Angels aren't all that far off on the offensive side. It's just committing to winning and getting depth at the pitching spot. Any takeaways from what you saw here, though?
I mean, just at first glance, it's fun just looking at that end of the year finish. And my prediction on how everything's going to shape out, it's almost the Astros and Athletics are going to flip a little bit. Overall, yeah, I mean, it'll be exciting to see how it all shape up. But yeah, I'd say looking at it, just I don't really see just as far as teams what they did in the offseason, who really improved. I'd say Texas definitely got stronger. I think Texas is just going to be better because of hopefully, knock on wood, they don't have those injuries like they experienced throughout the year. Their rotation is pretty strong. But yeah, I'd say overall, I don't know how much movement there's going to be. I think there's going to be a bigger gap from first place to second place than this last season.
Yeah. So let's get into it. We're going to go alphabetical order, like if you're on Fangraphs, alphabetical order. So we're starting with the Angels, then we'll go Astros, A's, Mariners, Rangers. So here is the Los Angeles Angels overview for 2026. This is via their Fangraphs. And essentially, the top right column is showing the AL West standings from this last year. And if you're listening to the audio only version, I would encourage you to go watch on YouTube because this is very visual. But the free agent tracker, they lost Luis Garcia to the Mets. They re-signed Yohan Moncada to a one-year deal. They lost reliever Kenley Jensen to Detroit. Lost relief pitcher Andrew Chafin to the Twins. Luis Rengifo is off to Milwaukee. Connor Brogdon, relief pitcher, is off to Cleveland. And then a couple of minor league deals. Chris Taylor was signed to a minor league deal with the Angels. And then they lost Kevin Newman, Lamont Wade Jr. as well. And you look at those 2025 team rankings, I said that their offense wasn't all that bad, but I think it was really just the power, because you look at their 2025 team rankings, their batting average looks to be 30th in the league. On base percentage was 28th. OPS was 23rd. Runs scored 25. Home runs, it says 4th. So, and then you look at starting pitching, that's where it really bottom of the barrel, basically.
Yeah, I'd say for me when it comes to the Angels, and I did for every single team in the AL West, I just ranked it 1 through 5. I did offense, starting pitching, bullpen, defense, and then also upper level depth. I think that's super important, especially for the second half. So Angels for me, I mean, I'll just get my bold prediction out of the way. They're going to be the worst team in the AL West. It's
That's bold. Hot take.
I'll get the easy one out of the way, I guess. But I think really, I think my, I think if I'm an Angels fan, the one hope I have is that Trout stays healthy for a full year, and you find a 4.5 WAR player out of him. I mean, I think he's still capable of. You have to appreciate the fact he wasn't playing in Team USA this year, and he's focused in on staying healthy. So, you know, there's a small, if you squint a little bit, maybe that offense actually takes a step forward. But the pitching just didn't really get better in my opinion. So
For sure.
and their offense is still the 5th worst in the AL West, and I don't think it's really the Angels' fault. I just think this is actually a pretty tough offense as far as the division goes.
So you look at the Angels' projected opening day roster. This is via Fangraphs. You got Zach Neto leading off at shortstop. You got Mike Trout, Nolan Schanuel, Yohan Moncada, Jorge Soler, Joe Adell. They got Josh Lowe this offseason, Logan O'Hoppe at catcher, and then Christian Moore. And then you see the bench there as well. And if one of the guys is labeled as red, then that means that he would be a platoon. So red means starting versus a right-handed pitcher, and then the blue means starting against left-handed pitching. You look at the 2026 projections for the Angels, looking at the weighted runs created plus column, they have 7 of the guys on the Angels lineup projected for at average or above average for weighted runs created plus, like overall production at offense. So, I mean, like you mentioned, it's not, you know, they might not be the top in the AL West for the offense, but their offense is not the worst. It is not, you know, awful. It's mainly the rotation. And coming to the rotation, you know, when your ace is Yusei Kikuchi at age 35, then you got Jose Soriano's second, Reed Detmers. He's making a return to the rotation after being in the bullpen last year. An intriguing name to look for is Grayson Rodriguez. He was traded from the Orioles in exchange for Taylor Ward this offseason. He's got all the potential. He used to be a top prospect, and, you know, he's projected to have over a 9K per 9, 3 walks per 9. If he could stay healthy and play to his potential, he could be the ace of this rotation. But when you're signing guys like Alek Manoah, that's when you know you're not completely serious. And then basically the Angels are like one of those teams where all the veterans that are looking to go back for 1-year deals and prove it deals, and they're hoping to get traded at the deadline. That's where they go. So Drew Pomeranz was signed in the offseason. Relief pitcher Kirby Yates, Jordan Romano, like a bunch of the older relievers. Drew Pomeranz is now 37. Kirby Yates is 39. Jordan Romano is 33. Also, Brent Suter was signed there. So, and then you look at the injured list. Anthony Rendon is still on the Angels payroll, which is just insane. I know that he had restructured his contract to basically get out as soon as possible, and then also a name to look for is Ben Joyce. He's that flamethrower from Tennessee. He's got 2 years of service time, and we'll see when he's back.
I don't know who's the worst Angel, Artie Moreno or Anthony Rendon.
They're both trying their hardest to be the worst. I mean
it's
Moreno,
you have to be. I mean, I know a few Angel fans, and I mean, you have to feel for them. It's a tough situation, and they haven't even. I remember reading an article very recently. I have to pull it up, but they asked him what's the most important thing to a fan. He said he didn't even mention winning in the first 3 things.
He said it wasn't the top 5.
Top 5.
He was like, here's the top 5: having a good experience, like being safe at the ballpark, having good food, having sunny weather, or whatever. He was like, yeah, winning actually isn't important to fans. And he's like, oh, so you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're clearly not a fan.
But, yeah. And I mean, if I just keep looking at it as far as where could the Angels improve? I just think it's just getting young guys going more. I'd say Neto can probably take another step forward. I think he's a pretty talented player too. So yeah, offense has a little bit of upside. Maybe they squeak in a 4th place in the division, but I don't think anything beyond that.
So my Angels hot take is that Zach Neto is actually the most valuable shortstop in the AL West this year, and he goes 30-30.
I like it.
I mean, last year, you look at Zach Neto, he had 26 home runs, 26 stolen bases. So he's right there on the cusp. He played in 128 games. So if he gets 150 games, 145 games, then he's a 30-30 guy, 257 batting average. And last year, he had a OPS plus of 117, so 17% above league average. You look at the other shortstops in the league, in the division, JP Crawford, Jeremy Pena is the guy with the Astros who has the most upside potentially, but I fade the Astros when I can.
Jack Wilson though.
Jack Wilson too. We'll see if he can repeat what he did last year, because I know that some of his stats.
Jack, I mean, we'll get to the athletics I think soon, but he's such a rare talent, so that's hard for me. But it's a bold prediction. I like it.
My second bold prediction, it was that Grayson Rodriguez would be the top pitcher on the Angels, which with his upside, that's possible. And it doesn't take much for Yusei Kikuchi and the other guys to fall.
I was actually, for me, from a pitching standpoint, Reed Detmers is going to be their number 1 in the rotation. And I think he has that kind of upside. He's got some great off-speed stuff. And I'd have to look it up, the numbers, but I feel like he's dominated the Mariners too in the past. So he's had some starts against us. Also, I believe he's a lefty. So go figure, we tend to struggle versus lefties, at least in our previous lineups.
And he was a top prospect coming up. And then he just hasn't seen his potential yet. So,
yep.
But now moving on to the Astros. So we're looking at Framber Valdez being outbid by the Tigers to a 3-year deal, which makes him a higher paid pitcher than Tarek Skubal, the guy that they were fighting to underpay him during arbitration. We're talking the Tigers. The Astros also lost Ramon Arias, a infielder, to St. Louis, Victor Caratini to the Twins. Craig Kimbrell goes to the Mets on a minor league deal. Chas McCormick, minor league deal to the Cubs. Hector Neris, and then Brendan Rodgers on minor league deals as well. What are your thoughts initially on the Astros? So you look at 2025 team rankings, it shows batting average was 12th, on base 15, OPS 15, and then starting pitching, ERA right middle of the league. K per 9 is up there, but and relief pitchers was solid.
I mean, Astros, they're going to go where Jordan Alvarez takes them, and I have it on here. Does Jordan play more than 120 games? Because I truly believe if he does, he can play over 120 games, that team's a playoff contender. When he was in the lineup, they continue to score. And then as soon as he got injured again, that's where they fizzled out at the end of the year. And you just saw it wasn't the same exact team. And it's just, you look at that lineup, it's like the boys are back together. I think maybe it's just it's seen Carlos Correa in that lineup. I think that's the biggest one.
Know.
And I just enjoy Loperfido, bringing him back. He was a former prospect for him, I believe, and he got traded to Toronto. So I found it really interesting. That outfield, can Cam Smith take a huge step forward, because that outfield might be the worst outfield in the AL West?
Yeah.
I mean, I have, for me, Astros, my big hot take for them is actually 4th in the division, won't make the playoffs.
I mean, we're going to get to the official rankings towards the end, but I also have the Astros 4th place in my rankings too. So, I mean, whether that's the Mariner in us or it's the realist, they had their run of a stretch, but there is a real fall off, I think.
They definitely have starting pitching depth to get them through the full season. They have a ton of guys that'll be sitting in AAA that are on their 40-man. They'll be going back and forth between there and I think Corpus Christi or something like that. But they're offensively, I don't know who they're going to really be turning to. So it'll be really interesting, and they just need guys to stay healthy because there's no offensive help that's coming behind them.
You mentioned Yordan Alvarez. He played in 48 games this last year. So, his potential is one of the best hitters in the league. He had a 121 OPS plus last year. Jeremy Pena last year in his 125 games. Like I mentioned, he's been one of the best shortstops in the division, 132 OPS plus. He made an all-star appearance. So did Isaac Paredes. Jeremy Pena actually ranked 10th in MVP voting this last year. And then you look at the projected lineup this year, you got Jose Altuve leading off, whether he's in second base or in the outfield at some point. And then let me actually get to the Astros IL. So Jeremy Pena actually is starting the year on the IL from what this says here, fractured right finger, right ring finger. So he's going to start on the IL. Same thing with Josh Hader. That's a name to look out for. I didn't know that they had Nate Pearson, to be honest. He was signed to a free agent deal in October of 25. He has elbow discomfort as of February 26th. So we'll see if we see him this year. Josh Hader and Jeremy Pena, a couple names. But then going back to the lineup, you have Jose Altuve, Yordan Alvarez, Isaac Paredes. Carlos Correa is currently slotted at shortstop, although, I was listening to the CBS fantasy baseball podcast today with, when Jeremy Pena comes back, how does this really shift around? You might see, because Isaac Paredes is imagined to be the third baseman. And then if Pena is going to shortstop, but then Carlos Correa, I've heard, wants to play third base. So does Isaac Paredes go to the outfield? But I guess that's an issue that you kind of just come to when you have to as the Astros. But you look at the weighted runs created plus, six out of the 9 guys are projected to be above league average. Yordan Alvarez is projected for a 156 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah, I just look at the offense, like I've mentioned, and it's really if the guys go down, what's going to be there to help them. I just don't feel like they have the depth for it. And you even look this, I know starting pitching, they do have depth, but as far as quality starting pitchers, I mean, you got Hunter Brown and Amai, and then after that, I feel like it's a huge drop off. Mike Burrows might be able to give them something that could resemble number 3 type starting pitcher, but I classify him more of the innings eater type in a strong playoff team. They have guys, but I feel like it's a lot more just arms they'll be throwing out there, not guys that are going to really be able to carry them. So yeah, I'm feeling really good. The more we talk about the Astros, the better I feel about them finishing 4th in this division.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter Brown finished, 3rd in the Cy Young last year in the AL, and he has the potential to be right up there with the best in the league. And he obviously is their ace. You lose the workhorse to the Tigers and Framber Valdez. I mean, that's a huge, Framber Valdez. That's a huge loss for them. Tetsuya Imai is going to be really interesting. I heard that he has a reverse slider that it looks like a slider, but it breaks arm side instead of glove side. Do you know anything about that?
Well, all I know is that I've just seen just different reports and interviews of pitchers just talking about his bullpens and just glowing reviews, right? Haven't seen him much, right? We're not watching much spring training. A lot of guys are just working on pitches. Sometimes you might not even see a certain pitch till that last start in spring. So, it'll be interesting to see what he is. And my other bold prediction is Astros could have the top number 1, 2 starting pitcher in the AL West. But the
top 1 and 2.
Top 1 and 2, but the worst 3, 4, 5.
So you think Imai is going to be the second best in the AL West?
I think he could. No, as far as 5 teams in the AL West, the number 1 and number 2 for those 5 rotations. So they'll have the top 1, 2 in the rotation.
Oh, gotcha. You're talking top 1, 2 in the West.
Mm-hmm. So is it for us, is he going to be better than Logan and
Brian
Wu? I think they could be, or just as good.
That might be a hot take. Well, yeah, I mean, Hunter Brown
is that really? I mean, we can debate it. Hunter Brown and Wu. I mean, Amai, if he takes a step forward, I don't think that's much of a hot take.
Yeah, if he can make the transition over to the MLB, that's the big thing.
Yeah.
See how he produces. I like to hear it. Also, just kind of adding to it, Lance McCullers Jr., he came back and he looked awful last year. I had him in fantasy for a few starts and regret that decision heavily. And yeah, the remaining depth there. And then you look at the bullpen, Brian Abreu's nasty. He's currently their closer, but Josh Hader is going to come back at some point. Yeah, it looks like a lineup that I think has the chance to finish fourth for the first time. And I'd have to look at how long it's been since they've been that far down in the division. Moving to the Athletics in 2026. So they're a very interesting team. They're a really exciting team. If you're an Athletics fan, it's an exciting time. It feels like Mariners 2021, basically, if you're an Athletics fan, to where, you know, there was a rebuild. They were kind of retooling, reshifting, the young guys coming up, and now they've extended 4 or 5 of their young top bats, at least. They brought in Luis Severino a year or two ago, and now it's just a question of if the rotation can hold up. Same thing with the Angels. The rotation is the weakness. For the Athletics, it's the same thing. You look at here's the estimated lineup for the Athletics. This is scary. You got Nick Kurtz leading off. You got Shea Langoliers second, Tyler Soderstrom third, Brent Rooker. They got Jeff McNeil this offseason. Jacob Wilson, as we mentioned, at shortstop. Lawrence Butler, it sounds like, is going to be getting in his first spring training games next week. So we'll see if he's ready for opening day. Max Muncy, Denzel Clark. What are your thoughts on this A's lineup?
I love everything about it. That whole lineup is so dangerous. And obviously they play in a ballpark where it's I think the second, best home run rate percentage in baseball.
Yeah, park factor.
Right behind Coors Field. So for me, I feel like offensively, you can just pick whatever bets you want to make on props for offensive numbers, the over, take all the overs. Pitching wise, that's where it just gets tough. It's a tough place to pitch. Severino, I remember reading a couple different interviews, him just a lot of players complaining about, I mean, it's a AAA ballpark there.
Right.
Sacramento River Cats played there for quite some time. So, you know, I get it. It's tough. I think, you know, as a team, like, what do they have like to really help them? I mean, obviously pretty similar as far as like the rotation goes where they finished last year. The one guy I feel like that's the biggest differentiator, and where we could see maybe Oakland push for a playoff spot, finish second in the AL West. If Luis Morales, I mean, here's my bold take. He's going to be the best rookie pitcher. I think he's still qualified as a rookie. He's going to be the best rookie pitcher in the AL West. And he could be in the top 3 for as far as vote getting by the end of the year if he stays fully healthy. Very high on him.
Top 3 in vote getting for like rookies or
AL Rookie of the Year. Yeah.
AL Rookie of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a name I'll have to look out for. Okay. So he was signed, out of Cuba, it looks like, back in January of 23. It looks like he was originally signed by the Giants. Okay. And then, looking at the wrong one. Yeah. Signed in January of 23 by the A's. Do you know what kind of stuff he has?
I mean, he has a 3-pitch mix, and his changeup and fastball is actually pretty solid. I don't say he throws it super hard. It's probably like mid-90s, but he spots everything really well. So I've always really liked that about him. I know his third pitch has really started developing. I want to say it's a slider, but I think I'd be guessing there. I just know that as far as like the stuff I've seen him throw at the end of this last year, just pulling up his numbers too. Let's see. He did K for 9. So I mean, he regressed a little bit from his strikeout numbers. I know he went down a little bit there, but I think that's expected too, just as far as taking that jump from AAA to the majors. But he handles his own, like as far as all of his numbers showing like pretty solid numbers. 3.73 ERA. I'd say just in a total of 9 games he got thrown out there. So 48 innings. Yeah. I think he's going to take that step forward for him.
And then here is the production from the A's last year. Just kind of going through this real quick. You look at Nick Kurtz. He had 36 home runs, 86 RBIs as a rookie. He won Rookie of the Year in the American League last year. He won a Silver Slugger. Jacob Wilson batted .311 with an 800 OPS. We'll see if he can repeat what he did. Shea Langoliers was always dangerous. He finished with 31 home runs. Brent Rooker had a 30 home run season yet again. Lawrence Butler, I think, is the wild card. If he can stay healthy and produce, then he could be a difference maker as well. I mean, my prediction is that the A's get third place actually in the AL West, which I don't think is all that bold. Outside of that, I think Nick Kurtz, I say Nick Kurtz hits 40 home runs. That's not that bold also, though. You know, he was at 36 last year in just 117 games. He's on pace for like 45 to 50 if he stays healthy for a full season. Yeah, and then one other name to just make note of is Jacob Lopez. Last year, he pitched in 92 and 2/3 innings. He had 11 strikeouts per 9. If he can keep his walks per 9 a little lower, he's another guy that could be a difference maker in the rotation.
Do you think we'll see? I mean, I've seen comments on it. Leo DeVries. Do you think we'll see him at all, or is he just a little too young?
He's a shortstop, right? Top prospect that was traded from the Padres.
Prospect. Yeah, they got him from Mason Miller.
I'm just trying to think of, okay, so I guess maybe there's opportunity if someone moves to third base because Jacob Wilson is at shortstop. So does DeVries go to third base? Because, you know, Max Muncy isn't
100% third base
projected to be, yeah.
And I mean, he's been getting reps in spring training. He's looked really strong. I mean, I know you and I were talking before this. We don't love talking spring training numbers, but I mean, he's producing 355 batting average, 394 OBP. His strikeout percentage is below 25%, barely, but at least he is. I'd love to see his walk rate go up a little bit, but if you look at his minor league stats, and it's a small sample size, I think it's trending in the right direction where we could maybe see him second half.
How old is he?
18, 19?
18, 19.
19.
That'd be fun to see. Mm-hmm. If you can get some youth at the bottom of the lineup. I mean, the entire team is youth at this point. But, you know, Tyler Soderstrom's 24, Jacob Wilson 24, Lawrence Butler's 25, Max Muncy's 23, Nick Kurtz is just 23 years old, and then you got a 19-year-old on your team. I mean, this is going to be a scary team for years to come.
It's going to be, I mean, Oakland, and just kind of thinking about just the season for the Mariners and trying to relate this back, it's just they're going to be such a pest for us. And they're going to really test our bullpen. I feel like it's going to be great for us as far as like a playoff environment. I think Oakland could potentially have the best offense in this division. So I think it's going to be good to go against them more often than not. So let's do it.
Yeah. Last note I'll say, yeah, they have projected 7 batters with a at or above league average weighted runs created plus. So far, you know, Angels, Astros, A's offenses are not too bad. Now moving to the Mariners overview. So they were able to re-sign Josh Naylor to a 5-year, $92.5 million contract extension. Eugenio Suarez took a 1-year deal with Cincinnati. Jorge Polanco took a 2-year, $40 million deal with the Mets. Caleb Ferguson, relief pitcher, went to Cincinnati as well. Mitch Garver was re-signed to a minor league contract. If he makes it to the major league roster, was it $2 million that he makes?
Yeah, it is.
$2 million. And then Saucedo went to the Angels, of course, going to the Angels minor league contract. Gregory Santos ended up going to the Giants minor league deal. Trent Thornton to the Cubs on a minor league deal. And then Leody Taveras signed a 1-year deal with the Orioles. Then you look at the right side where it shows the 2026 top prospects. Colt Emerson is at the top of the list. We're going to see him at some point this year. It's just a matter of when. It seems like he's not going to be cracking the opening day roster at this point with how he's playing in the spring. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Oh, I definitely have some thoughts on that. I told you so. Cole Young, baby. It was his job to lose, and it looks like I think he's locked down that second base role, right?
You got me on that one. That's for sure.
It's tough, though. I mean, I think it's more of like you're right, and I think the comment you made, like he is a Ken Griffey Jr. type talent for us to come. That's coming up. But Julio Rodriguez, really on that top echelon of prospects. You see the physical ability is definitely there. So I'm excited for just where this team's going to be offensively, and it's really interesting too. And I think you and I were talking about this a couple of weeks ago. It's just what do we do at the trade deadline? It's kind of nice where we get to let the first half really dictate that. And whereas like last year, we knew we had multiple positions we needed or roles we needed to upgrade, but we didn't do it. we didn't do it in the offseason. And so we're looking at, as far as trades go, that's what we had, the route we had to go. So it'll be nice to really, I think we'll have a lot more flexibility in what we decide to do, or we can be a little bit more tactful. And I don't think there'll be multiple pieces we'll be needing to add, pending injury. But yeah, man, this Mariners team's gonna be really exciting. And just looking at my rankings, it's just between offense, starting pitcher, bullpen, defense, upper level depth, we are one across the board. There's a little bit of competition here and there, but it's gonna be a fun season, man. And for having Brandon Donovan, a leadoff hitter in our lineup,
Yeah.
at the top of our lineup, gosh, you have to go back a couple of years, I feel like. So you got a complete roster, I feel like.
Yeah, career 361 on base percentage for Brendan Donovan. But going back to Colt Emerson, like when I had Gary Hill Jr. on, he made a really great point that when Julio Rodriguez came up in 22, it was wide open for him. There wasn't a full roster that was holding him back, and to where he had to blow the doors off, like he still did during spring training, and he earned that opportunity at opening day. But Colt Emerson, he's now going up against a roster that's fully built out. Like I said, if Colt Emerson blows the doors off of this thing and shows that he needs to be in the big leagues, then he decides his fate. But that didn't happen this spring, and Cole Young has been tearing it up as well on the flip side. So, there's just no room for him at this point until he shows that he absolutely needs to be up there.
Totally agree. And that's the nice thing to have. It's like a guy goes down. It's like, you don't have to be as nervous if a guy in the left in your infield goes down, because you got Colt right there.
Exactly. So looking at the Mariners projected lineup for 2026, and again, the red means that it's a starter when you're going against a right-handed pitcher, and then the blue is projected for if you're going against a left-handed pitcher. So there's a potential to have some stacked, like fully lefty lineups, and then also fully righty lineups, depending on how Dan Wilson wants to play this thing heading into the season. But you got Brendan Donovan at the top as a lefty, Cal Raleigh switch, Julio Rodriguez third as a righty, Josh Naylor lefty, Rainer Rosarena, if he's still on the team by opening day, fifth. And then you got Luke Raley in right field. You also have the platoon of Victor Robles if you have a lefty on the mound. Dominic Canzone is the projected DH to start off the year. You got JP Crawford at shortstop, Cole Young at second base. Looking at the bench even, you got Andrew Kisner is the projected backup right now for catcher. You got Leo Ribas in the infield switch hitter that can play and take some load off. You got Rob Refsnyder, who's going to be a platoon guy, likely at DH. And then again, Victor Robles. What are your thoughts on the depth and how they might build out the lineups?
Yeah, just looking at the lineup itself, I think that all makes a ton of sense. I think where I see some errors is just probably on the bench. I think Garver could still sneak in and steal that backup catcher job. I don't think that's even close to being decided. I think as rosters churn over too over the next week, maybe it's in a situation where you see a trade made if they can find an opportunity to improve the bench. So I don't think that's right. And Leo, I think he's definitely in the competition, but I think Ryan Bliss still has an opportunity to make this team playing shortstop. He's played a little bit of shortstop, I know, in spring this year. So they couldn't just be wanting him to get a bunch of at-bats, and he didn't get a lot of that last year. So selfishly might tell him like, hey, you're probably better off playing in AAA starting out. So maybe that's why Leo's there. And then Rob, obviously, as far as like a platoon goes, makes a ton of sense. Victor Robles, I've been seeing a bunch of people saying, does he make the team? Look at the batting average, 0.083. What is this? 19 at bats. What was Polanco at the end of like spring training last year? He was horrendous. And it didn't help that we were playing him at third base and trying to get him to. He was trying, his hip wasn't right. He didn't even like feel. You watched him play for those first couple of weeks of the season. You kind of like felt for him. Now, do I think that's the situation with Victor? No, but he was injured a ton last year. Is his timing off? Probably. So it's spring training. I don't think he's lost his role on this team. I think he's on the short side of the platoon for both right field and DH, and I'm fine with that because I think Luke and Dom have a higher ceiling overall.
Yeah, we'll see what version of Victor Robles we get, because when he was first coming over from the Nationals, he blew the doors off of everything and showed his, top prospect 5-tool upside basically. But since that injury, we'll just have to see if he rebounds. Also a name to look out for, we've seen tear the cover off the ball in the spring, is Brennan Davis. We'll see at what point he comes up and contributes.
Yeah, and I mean, Brendan Davis, I don't think he makes the team. I think he definitely is somebody who's going to be there in the first guy up. If it's not Thomas, I always forget his first name. We traded for him from the Mets.
Is it Alex? Alex?
No,
that's the
Dylan Thomas. Anyways, I should have that.
Ryland Thomas?
Ryland Thomas, yes. And that guy, I mean, Ryland Thomas, I mean, he's continued to survive and stay on the 40-man roster and prove me wrong. I mean, he's had a solid spring training. He's looked really strong. 2 home runs. I didn't think he had home run power. Granted, I mean, you're playing in the desert, but it's nice seeing that because that was the reason why he was not really considered more than a 4th outfielder, because he didn't really have the power. So it's nice seeing that in spring now. So Mariners, this scouting department or player development and is definitely on the offensive side. I think has flipped a switch over the last like 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. They went from developing pitchers at the top of the game to now, it's a combination of trade, but also develop, because, you look at the column of how this offense was acquired, and 6 of the guys were trades. You look at Brendan Donovan, trade. Josh Naylor, Randy Rosarena, Luke Raley, Dominic Canzone, JP Crawford were all acquired by the Mariners in trades. The only guys that were developed in-house were Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, and Cole Young. And then you look at, the entire bench that's built out was via free agency. Obviously, even Victor Robles was just a free agent when we initially got him. So the ability that this franchise has had to draft, develop, trade, and then now we've seen extend with Josh Naylor and some other, Cal Raleigh extension, Julio Rodriguez. And then you look at the 2026 projections with weighted runs created plus. 8 of the 9 guys are at or above league average, but then Cole Young is projected to be at a 99 weighted runs created plus, which is essentially league average.
No, yeah, I'm super excited about this offense. It's, you start hearing about the injuries in the rotation side. You start thinking about Bryce Miller, what's going on there. At least he's throwing a ball against the wall. I saw that today. Somebody posted, somebody saw him throwing not a medicine ball, one of those weighted balls against the wall. So I mean, at least he's doing activities. That's I think a good sign, right?
Because yesterday he tried to throw 3 pitches out of the bullpen, and then stopped and turned to Justin Hollander and Logan Gilbert, and then walked off the mound. So apparently it had flared up yesterday. Is that right?
Okay. Well, I guess the timing of it, I probably should look at the video before I talk about it then. But yeah, that part's interesting to me. I mean, we do have depth. Is that depth ready currently? I don't think so. I mean, Kate Anderson maybe has something to say about that, and he's looked sharp when he's out there. But you got Emerson Hancock still, so I think he's that next man up, and you have to commit to it. He's really at that point. I mean, he's 27, 28 years old, so he's older for a prospect, or maybe he's 26, 27, but he's still on the older side, and you really gotta push forward with him and give him the opportunity that he's earned. Yeah, 26, almost 27. Yeah. So.
Former number 6 overall pick in the 2020 draft out of Georgia.
He was so good at Georgia.
Yeah. And Bryce Miller was the guy that I was hoping to have like a strong bounce back and be one of the guys that could make a difference in this rotation. But it's unfortunate to see that right now it's the oblique. It's nothing having to do with the arm or the bone spur that he was dealing with in the elbow last year. So that's a positive. But hopefully Bryce can get back and ready, at some point in the first month. But looking at the rotation, Brian Wu coming off of a stellar season this last year. He was the best guy in the rotation. Let me pull up the stats from last year. Brian Wu, he had the most innings logged out of this rotation. I don't think anyone would have picked that heading into the last season. He had an 186.2 and 2/3 innings pitched this last year, a 0.927 whip. He had a 2.94 ERA. He placed 5th in American League Cy Young voting. Luis Castillo logged the second most innings at 180 and 2/3. You then had Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Bryce Miller, and Emerson Hancock. So looking at the projected rotation, I guess question, do you start Brian Wu or Logan Gilbert opening day?
And we open up at home too, don't we? Right?
Yeah.
I've heard it
Like,
both ways. I think I'm gonna go with Wu. I'm gonna stay consistent on my answer. And I think it's like you look at Wu, if he was healthy for the playoffs, who's the guy we were talking about? Is he gonna be able to go or not go? This is the guy. He was the guy that really helped prop up our rotation the full season. So I'd say Wu's who you got to go with. I've heard debates on you got to keep Logan happy and you got to extend him. Well, we got to extend Wu, and Wu's I think proven to be a little bit more consistent. So,
well, yeah, that is an interesting question or topic. It's like, Luis Castillo was a starter for a good amount of time, the opening day starter for a good amount of time in his career. He's the established veteran. Logan Gilbert earned that right to be the opening day starter. Do you kind of shift it every year just depending on who is maybe the best in the rotation, or does tenure and veteran status have some to do with that? Does veteran status have anything to do with it, or are you looking at ERA, WHIP, that type of thing? Obviously,
yeah,
Brian Wu had the innings last year too.
Yeah, has Wu done enough to dethrone? I guess it's really. I mean, those guys feel like that. I mean, I don't really feel like it's a healthy. I feel like it's a healthy competition with that rotation. Knowing the guys in that locker room, and like especially if it's Bryce Miller just pop up and be like, "You want to flip a coin on it?" So,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I'm not really going to read into who's going to be starting opening day. Like, I think I'd be more like, if I'm going to be making the playoffs, if I'm in that rotation, like I'm more concerned. Like, I want to be that guy on the hill when we get to a World Series, and who's going to be that first pitcher that's thrown out there. That's more my headspace. Like, the guys don't give a rat's, you know what? Like, they want to play in a World Series. They don't really care about that.
And right? I know that he was mainly healthy last year. There was the peck at the end of the year, but do you slot him slightly lower in the rotation to like take some of that initial workload off of him, because there are more off days earlier in the season? Like, that's another perspective that I've just heard. I guess we'll have to see. We got 2 weeks until opening day, so Dan Wilson is probably going to make that announcement here the next week. And this next turn in the rotation, we should be seeing exactly how it's going to be slotted out.
Yeah. And as far as like, I mean, kind of breaking down the rest of that Mariners team and just looking at that bullpen, it'll be interesting to see how they round out that bullpen. Hey, we see Cooper Criswell. That's a guy. That was a guy that we were thinking.
He's a guy that was actually talked about as being in that number 5 rotation spot over Emerson Hancock.
There you go. And he did a little bit he was an opener for the Red Sox for a full season. He was a guy that was just on that taxi squad. They kept bringing up and down. And he had some mixed results, but especially when he first started in that role, he looked really strong. So he's a guy when we added, I was actually kind of excited about. But then also Cole Wilcox. I mean, I don't think he's given up a run yet here in spring training. So I see Casey Lagomina getting that final mid-release spot, but I don't think Cole's done here. But we'll see. I think Cole also might have an option, so that could be a part of that. Could be a reason why he sticks around, because I think Lagomina is out of options. I think I see. Yeah, that could be part of it. But I like this. I like this bullpen a lot better than this time last year. 100%.
Yeah, you add Jose Ferrer, flame-throwing power sinker ball lefty, to the bullpen to take some stress off of Gabe Spire, so that he's not having to be out there against every lefty in the lineup. I mean, yeah, Ferrer's upside is massive. Andres Munoz, we'll just call him the best closer in baseball. He's power ranked at number 2 via Fangraphs. I imagine number 1 has to be Mason Miller.
Why did Mexico throw him out there the other day? I was fuming.
What, yesterday?
Yeah,
I know, because they were down like 8-1 or something, and basically it's like, hey, we just want to throw our best guy. Maybe had Munoz thrown in a couple days.
I mean, if I was, that's part of it. If I was, I don't know who does the relations between the WBC teams and like, hey, you want this guy in 3 years and he's under contract with us, you're covering the insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous. I thought that was maybe it was Munoz saying, I want to go out there. No, let me go. I haven't thrown much, and I don't think nobody needs to, I guess, really respond to it. But at the same time, like if there was an injury from not needing to really go out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
and piled on with you mentioned Rosarino still on the team. Yes, he's still on the team. We have him on contract for one more year, Connor. So
those contracts are tradable. We'll see what happens. No, I mean, it's
you and I align. We both said he could have been a guy. I mean, him and JP are guys that we thought with 1 year on a contract, we need to move around money. I don't know. I guess there's still some time before the season starts.
So my hot take for the Mariners is that George Kirby is actually going to be the best pitcher in the rotation this year. And so I'm working on a video right now. It's pretty interesting because last season, as we think back, he started the year on the injured list, and it was due to shoulder inflammation. He came back from the injured list, and he had a lower arm slot. He lowered his arm slot by 8 degrees, and it could just be a natural thing. It could be something to where that just felt better for him with his release. And with that, he has added 3 inches of horizontal break to his slider at the lower arm slot. He's also changed some of his other arsenal. He did away with the splitter completely last year because it just wasn't working from that arm slot. If you look at 2024, he had a 37-degree arm slot, 2025, 29-degree. And it sounds like during spring, he's rolling with the same arm slot at 29 degrees. He had the highest whiff rate of his career, the highest K per 9 of his career last year. His ERA was inflated. His walk rate doubled, but I mean, George Kirby's walk rate was minuscule in general in his career. So basically last year, his numbers were inflated because he was trying to figure out how to throw from this new arm slot. But now going into his location plus via Fangraphs was still second in all of baseball. So George Kirby was still able to locate his stuff, but it's learning the new arsenal. He has a higher whiff rate. I think if he comes back and he's re-adding that splitter to his arsenal as well, I think he takes the next step and he could be the Mariners' top guy at the end of the year.
I like that. I mean, my bold prediction's an easy one for me as a Mariners fan. Of 35 years, world champions, baby. World champions. And I think we'll finish off the year. I mean, they have us, I think the over-under is like 88.5. I think we are going to blow the doors off it early. I feel really strongly about that. I think it all just comes down to the health of the rest of the division and how they perform. But I have us between 92 to 94 wins to finish off the year. So hammer the over, baby. Let's go.
I love that. Love that. And, just looking at the overall, makeup of the staff of the lineup as a whole in 2023, 2022, when we made 2023, when we made the playoffs for the first time in 21 years, it was hoping to get back to the playoffs. Everyone was young. Everyone was just trying to get there. No one had the experience. These past couple, they missed the playoffs by 1 game for a couple of years. And now they finally won the AL West and got the deepest that the franchise has ever gotten. Like the entire staff and lineup is just expecting to be in the World Series at this point. So this is, it's everyone's mature. They all have experience. They have playoff experience. They understand that atmosphere and what it feels like. They were in some of the most intense games in the playoffs this past year in the Tiger series, the Blue Jays series. This has World Series written all over it.
Took weeks, days off my life, but it was totally worth it, that playoff experience last year. And I think we'll be on the better end of it. I know we got a little bit of Rangers too, man. And their team, like I feel like could make me a little nervous, or they could, there's just a lot of older guys. They can just really run into the injury bug like they did last year, and it becomes really easy for the Mariners.
Yeah. So looking at the Rangers overview, they lost Merrill Kelly to the Diamondbacks. They lost Tyler Mahle to the Giants. They lost Phil Matten, relief pitcher, to the Cubs. Sean Armstrong, relief pitcher. Hobie Milner. Adolis Garcia is now a Philadelphia Philly. Those are the notable names. Dylan Moore is now a Philly. He signed a minor league contract with them. Jonah Heim is now in Atlanta as well. Looking at their projected opening day lineup, they went out and traded for Brandon Nimmo. That was Marcus Semien for Brandon Nimmo. So he's going to be leading off for them at age 33. Wyatt Langford, Corey Seager, Jake Berger, Jock Peterson, Evan Carter, Josh Young, Josh Smith, and Danny Jensen. And then they have a bit of a platoon deal going as well, to where they can roll out a solid lineup with lefties and the righties. You look at their 2026 projected offense, they're right there with the Mariners. They also have 8 guys that are projected for a weighted runs created plus of league average or higher. So, I mean, this is a dangerous team. Brandon Nimmo, he's a solid leadoff hitter. And then the talent and the upside is there throughout the lineup.
Yeah, I really like what they did this offseason. And specifically just looking at getting guys that can get on base, provide some average, especially at the top of the lineup. I mean, Josh Smith, they have him at batting 8th there, but I think you could probably see him a little bit more middle of the lineup, 6, 7. I think he can if he can develop power, the guy could be a potential all-star type player. I think he's good. I think it was a great move for them to ship Semien and give him the full-time job at second base. So I'm really interested to see what he does in a full season there. Josh Jung, I mean, he just hasn't been healthy. So if he can put together a healthy season and be productive, I feel like he can. Yeah, you're right. I mean, this offense could be super dangerous. And then Nimmo at the top too. Them getting I think a leadoff hitter is awesome. And then I really like Adolis Garcia, but that guy just a strikeout king. And you already have Jake Berger and Jock Peterson in that lineup. Like, you got enough Ks to go around. I think it was a good move to make some changes there.
Andrew McCutchen, non-roster invite.
Could make the team. I mean, that would be kind of surprising. He said for a while, like, Pittsburgh's the last place. I'm not going anywhere else. But
yeah.
And is it Chris Young? Is that who is the GM for the
GM?
The Rangers? Yeah, former Mariner. I mean, he was a Princeton stud, right? And so you have to love it just plays a little game of Tetris each year. I really love watching the Rangers and how they orchestrate their offseason. Now they've run into a little bit of like TV deals. So it's funny how like this year is like they're not spending and they're just moving money around. But I like how they did it.
And they went out and got Mackenzie Gore, which I think is a massive move. I mean, he was, the Nationals ace. He was
best
a top
available
prospect.
lefty, I felt like, from like a trade perspective. Maybe you can find something better, but
he was in the Juan Soto deal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Juan Soto. He was initially a top prospect for the Padres, sent to the Nationals after a few years, eventually sent to the Rangers. And I guess my hot take for the Rangers is that Mackenzie Gore is going to be the MVP for the Rangers rotation. I mean, when you have Jacob deGrom, Nathan Eovaldi, for both of those guys, it's really health. And I don't know if it's really a hot take that Mackenzie Gore is going to be the best pitcher. He has the upside, but it's been the second halves for him the past couple of years being on the Nationals. This could be a stacked rotation. Jack Leiter has all the upside in the world. His stuff is nasty, but every time I seem to watch him, I don't understand how he gets hit so hard. You also have Kumar Rocker that's also waiting in the depths there. What are your thoughts on the pitching staff?
I wrote down my hot take: worst bullpen in baseball.
Wow. Okay.
It is horrendous. Like, they're going to be operating, and like, I don't even know who it's going to be. I mean, like, Robert Garcia that's probably, I mean, that's a good guess. But like Chris Martin, he's almost 40. I mean, love his story, working out as a warehouse worker. He's turned baseball player at 28 or something like that. I love his story, but when that's your setup guy, and he's obviously like, that's just a story. His numbers have been pretty decent, but I just look at that bullpen, and that's not something that's going to get you to the playoffs. It just screams like they're going to have to make a ton of changes mid-season, and they're going to have to put all their resources. And I just love the fact if they keep around 500 and stay close to the Mariners, they just blow through their already depleted farm system. It'll be fun to watch. I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on. That bullpen is going to be it's going to be tough to watch, really, for them. They'll be talking about how bad it is very quickly.
And then looking at their injury list, I think the only real names here, Cody Bradford, and then also Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery had Tommy John surgery in April 25, so he'll be back at some point this year, you'd imagine. But I mean, the starting rotation, it's up there with some of the best in baseball if the health is there.
Totally.
I mean, because you look at Jacob deGrom, he was able to log 172 innings. Patrick Corbin is long gone. He he was not doing great. Jack Leiter was second, I guess third after Patrick Corbin with 151 innings. Nathan Eovaldi logged 130, 1.73 ERA, 0.854 WHIP. I just don't think that he's going to stay healthy all year. I would be surprised if DeGrom does it again at age 38, if he's able to pull it together again. But yeah, a lot of upside with the offense, and that's kind of a common theme is that these offenses are solid. Rotations are question marks outside of, I mean, even with the Mariners, you know, their number 5 is a question mark because Bryce Miller, Durangelo Sanjo was projected to be the next guy to come up and produce, but he was traded off. And I guess let me ask you this. At what point in the year does Cade Anderson make his debut?
I think what point of the year do we need to look beyond Emerson Hancock? I think that's really what you're probably thinking about. Cooper Criswell, obviously you mentioned that could be a name, but he's thrown, I think he's thrown, you know, at least 95 innings in a season. Well, I think his last year with LSU, he got close to 100. So
he threw 119.
119. So, I mean,
Yep.
he's done it to where he can probably give you at least a decent half season
150
playoffs. I would try not to even see him until the second half of the year. I think that's my biggest thing. And I know you jumped ahead too. And we went to the Mariners, but I was even looking at Texas Rangers. I'm like, what happens if they have injuries? They don't have anybody. They have Cal Quantrill as a non-roster invitee, and he'll probably be sitting in the minors. But one name that interested me, and former Mariner prospect we traded a while ago, and I'd have to actually look at the name of it, but I recognize his name, Jose Cornel. He's actually a number 5 prospect, and he actually is a pretty decent pitcher. So that'll be kind of fun to see. But yeah, kind of going back to the Mariners there. Yeah, I think overall, just like where we sit in this division, offensively, defensively, I think we're probably about league average. So there's a conversation you have there. But offensively, starting pitcher, bullpen, and then that upper level depth, I think you look across our division, there's nobody even comes close to the depth that we have. Maybe the conversation can be had on the starting pitching, but feeling really good about Dipoto and team and how they've set things up for us as fans.
All right, AL West rankings. You can go first with how you think it'll finish.
Just talking through it, I think we both aligned on definitely number 5, Anaheim Angels.
I think Artie Moreno also agrees. That's number 5.
Moreno already said, well, we don't need it. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
Top 5 is to finish 5th.
From there, it was really tough, but I think my hot take, I'll stick with it. Astros at number 4. I just don't think Yordan Alvarez is going to give you a lot of at-bats still. I wish that was the case because that guy, I mean, he could be a Hall of Famer. He's that good of a hitter. But guys just can't stay healthy, and I think they have too many old players on that team, and that outfield is not good enough. A little bit top-heavy in that rotation. Number 3 for me, I'm going to go with Oakland at number 3. And that's just mostly because of the ballpark they're in. I think they could take second in the division. I think they could make the playoffs. But I think if I was to look at it, if I had to make an exacto, I think they have a third place finish in this division. It's actually a really strong year for them. I could see them getting 80 to, above, slightly above, 500, 83, 84 wins, maybe sneak in there. So I'll stick with that. And then Rangers, I think they have a pretty complete team as far as their lineup goes. Like I mentioned, we talked about that pitching staff. The bullpen is abysmal, and the pitching staff, I mean, they don't really have the depth, I feel like, to survive a full season. So you could very well see it where it's like the Mariners first place, obviously, where this finishes, but Mariners finishing between 88 to 92 wins. And then that second place team is going to be fighting for, I think, a third wild card. I don't think you're going to have a lot of playoff teams in this division.
Unfortunately or fortunately, I have the exact same rankings as you. Angels 5, Astros, I think, drop to number 4, which if that actually happens, I think that will be shocking. But I do see the potential for them to drop down to that point. And then, like you mentioned, A's 3, I think they have a ton of potential, especially in their offense. but they need a little bit more to get them over the bump and to get over the Rangers. And then the Rangers rotation is scary. If everyone stays healthy, they could have one of the best rotations in all of baseball. I hope that they don't see their full potential. And then also that offense is top tier as well. And then I just think the Mariners top to bottom with their depth, as you mentioned at the beginning, whether they need to call up some young guys or they need to make some acquisitions at the deadline, they just need 1-2 holes. Maybe we'll see how right field plays out, how DH plays out, how Cole Young does it at second base. But outside of that, I think it's the Mariners to take. So really exciting times.
Yeah, I'm loving it. And yeah, it's like, what did they decide to upgrade? Oh, just rags of riches. That's all it is, right? So we can pick and choose what we want to do. So knock on wood, hopefully no more injuries. We don't really hear about any other injuries through the rest of the spring training. And enjoy the rest of this World Baseball Classic, man. It's been a fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. If you watched and stayed to the end, let us know your thoughts on the rankings for the AL West. If you agree, disagree with some of our takes, and make sure to like and subscribe to the Couch GM. Go follow Chad Edgar's Kutina on Instagram. Follow me at the Couch GM, and we'll see you next Thursday at 8:00 p.m. Pacific. Go M's.
Go M's.
Fly ball.